and a prayer. Today's prayer is by Pastor David of Park Place Christian Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Loving gracious God, we first of all give you thanks for a good night's rest, for the work that you have in store for each of us this day, for all that we do for this community, for the ways that we help to make this community grow in ways to be fruitful. And so God, as the county commissioners gather this morning with much upon their agenda, I ask you, God, to bless them and their decisions that they make this day. May it be fruitful for all of us who work, live, and play in Reno County. Be with us. Be with the commissioners as they meet those tough tasks that they have ahead of them. God, may they turn to you when those decisions need to be made. That we know that the best decision is made for us all. Amen. A couple of small announcements. Number one, I just wanted to address the black eyes, so there's no rumor going around. It was an honest, good-natured accident with my daughter at the golf club, so nothing real salacious there. So, it is also Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day. It's not too late if you didn't. Is everyone here for public comment for item not on the agenda? Commissioners have any changes to the agenda that might propose additions?
If it's up with the rest of you, I'd like another 2 weeks on 6B, 6C, and 6D. I just honestly, over the weekend, did not have enough time, I think, to give it the consideration it deserves. Can we table that until next meeting?
Yeah, you can. What we might do is, we'll just ask you to make the motion in the consent agenda to table it. If there's any problem here. Staff have any additions or so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'd like to motion that 6B, 6C, and 6D be tabled until the next meeting.
There's a motion to table 6B through 6D. Second. Motion dies for lack of a second. Mr. Chairman.
If it's all right with you, we can pull those out. The rest of the commission, we can pull those out and vote on the rest. And then if there's any needed discussion on that right now, we can do that and then take them up at that time.
So would you like to make a motion to do that?
Yes, I will do that. 6C and D. I would move to pull 6B and C and D from the consent agenda and for discussion after we move on the balance of the consent agenda.
So you basically want to separate the consent agenda into two items?
Yes.
Okay. There's a motion to separate the consent agenda. As stated,
6B through D will be a second item to discuss and approve. Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Whitesell. Other discussion on that?
I think that would help in explanation of that, so we can get on with it. Maybe that would help, that you can decide at that point after the discussion on if you've got enough information.
Randy sent me a bunch of stuff last night, but I just didn't have time to read it all.
I think a further explanation will help. Okay.
I agree. It's good to talk about. It's very reasonable. So, right now, is there a motion to approve items 6A, 6E through 6I?
Motion to approve that.
Motion by Commissioner Parks.
Order. I think we need to vote on the first motion.
Yes, thank you. Apologies. So we had a motion and a second, and there was discussion. That was my fault. So unless there's further discussion on Commissioner Hurst's motion, I'll roll call on that.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Milner?
Yes.
Commissioner Whitesell?
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Wetzel. So now we'll take up the motion by Commissioner Parks to approve 6A, 6E through 6I. Was there a second on that? Second by Commissioner Hurst. Discussion on this?
Yes. On the item on the register of deeds due for the $85,000, we have, that's an elected office, and we have, the only thing we have to do with it is okaying the money, right? They can't dictate anything that's done within that motion, like they're saying selling subscriptions. Would those be given to?
Do you have any clarity on that?
Yeah, I think that's, you can see that whole elected official situation. Perhaps I think she's here to answer questions if we have them, but in general, she gets to run her office. You guys do have to approve expenditures like this one, although I think the way that this comes, Randy can explain whether or not this is budgeted already.
We're talking about 7A, and that's the register of deeds. Yeah, 10-5. I've jumped ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's a little. I'll check it up later.
I didn't notice that either. I think that's what you were getting ready to say. Sorry, you need to run the meeting better.
I just missed it too. I thought it was in the consent agenda.
We'll get to that. Anything else on A, E? Right. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Milner? Commissioner Whitesell?
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen?
Yes. Okay. All right. So now we have 6B, C, and D. I might start with a little bit of background. It's fair to everybody to ask. These were held from last year. Kind of the commission has a lame duck session, and so these were pending approval. They should have been approved last year because their term starts the 1st of January. But I held them until the new commission was seated. These particular committees, some of them are statute required, some of them are grant required. It seems to be very hard to fill these positions. It's certainly something if you have people that are interested, certainly in these, that we would definitely want to take applications. commission get the applications?
What's in the pack were all the applications we received.
So there is quite a few to review. The health department also has a health advisory board. We have not placed that on the agenda yet, so that will be coming. If you have different comments on that, I think they've taken some initial feedback based on the strategic planning meeting that we had in December. You weren't part of that, but when do you think that'll come back to us?
Probably in March. If there's some more things, I think looking at the advisory board.
It might be good to get some initial information out to everybody on that. But do you have anything to add, Randy?
Just that last year, the county commission set up a new process for all these board appointments, and this is where we advertise for 90 days. So I believe it began in September for these positions, went through November, and the administrative policy allows the chair at that time to look at the names and make a decision whether to put them on the agenda or ask for more time to try to find more volunteers. So, as Chairman Fraser mentioned, he saw this at the end of last year. Then, I guess we postponed it for a little bit. But the community corrections, that advisory board, those are all reappointments. So none of those are new. And that's the one by statute. There's certain criteria that Reno County appoints a few people, and I think the city of Hutch may appoint some people. It's a mixture based on statute. And then the others, transit and aging. Barbara's here if you wanted more details on that, but I think there's one vacancy still in transit. We still don't have enough applicants, so that one still is open.
And just to be clear, the current seated committee members are continuing until, and there's nothing that's going to delay anything if we wait another 2 weeks. I don't have any problem delaying it if you haven't had time.
So we got this on like Friday, at least Friday was when I got it, and so I'd asked the city administrator some questions. He got back to those Friday after work, or Friday after he left. So he got back to me on Monday on those. And I guess my thing is, these are 2 and 3 year appointments, and I just haven't had a chance to do my due diligence. Do we want to just appoint people because they're the only ones that applied? If we do, then that's fine. But I think I would like to make some phone calls and say hello to some people, and I think it's a lot of information as well that I need to read. I just haven't had time in those couple of days to do what I think my due diligence would be to vote yes or no, especially not on a consent agenda, especially since one of them was asking us to suspend a rule that was in place for whom we appoint.
Can you elaborate on that? I don't know what you're talking about.
So one of the applicants, you'll have to forgive me, I don't remember which one, but there were 2 people that applied, and there was one position available based on where they lived. And so we were asked to make an exception and appoint both of them instead of appointing somebody from another area.
Do you want to make a motion to table, please?
I'd make a motion to table 6B, 6C, and 6D until that next meeting.
Motion to table 6B through 6D. I'll go ahead and second that motion. Is there discussion?
I think we have discussion on the motion to table.
Usually, at meetings, we're not tied to being just strict reports.
I guess these have been pretty well advertised, and I appreciate your thoughts on that. It is difficult to find statutory. The other one is got more to do with that. It's almost statutory. I lean towards approving these just because of the process that they've gone through and the advertisement that we've done.
So, and you guys, sure. And you guys may have had time. I just didn't. Was the reason I was asking.
You're right, Commissioner White. Some of the members feel that the table is not debatable. I probably would have seconded it. If I put it on there.
Like you said, no, we're not. I guess we're not tied to that. So.
No, it's good to follow the rules. I think we've opened discussion, so we'll finish it. Any other discussion on this side? Please.
Commissioner Hurst.
For reasons.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Commissioner Butler.
No.
Commissioner Whitesell.
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you, guys.
You put that on the, should we just put that on the business items and plan to discuss it? And this is just one thing that would help me. If you see something on the agenda, the consent agenda isn't designed necessarily to tear it all apart and discuss all the items. And so if we're being a little too wide on the consent agenda items, you're still learning what everybody is comfortable with. So feel free to speak up if there are things that you feel would be better on the business side.
So just same time possibly next week for taking research. I believe that under community corrections appointments, what you're looking at is KSA 75-5297 because the requirements for membership. And I believe that what you presented with, if you look at that, if you look at that statute, and I know you're going to, 75-5297 goes down to A, and I think these are the three, A6, the county commissioner shall appoint 3. So I think those are the appointments that you guys are looking at for in 2 weeks. Is the qualifications, and there's several different people that have to be on that board, and I think these are your guys that should get a pick for. So just possibly to end the discussion next week if I mention it.
Thanks. Go ahead. Item 7. Commissioner Bunker, let's talk about this.
A couple things come to mind. Who would you foresee as being able to get these subscriptions? Are they like the walk-ins of now? Anybody can walk in and ask for certain items. And beyond that, if you had the subscription, what do you foresee being able to do with that subscription? Can you, as a realtor, just what we normally submit deeds in person and on paper, would they be submittable by electronics?
And then go ahead and introduce yourselves, Mike. And if you want to do a brief summary first, and then head over to
just didn't feel like we could do justice at the time to this project. So we backed off of it until last summer. We looked at another product called Fiddler at that time. And at that time, I asked Michelle if she wanted to revisit the Tyler product. We compared those against the current product that she uses. And so after another review of the Tyler product, I think we come to the conclusion that we all thought that Tyler was the best product for them to get the most efficiency for them and the constituents that could use it externally. One of the big differences here is that we currently don't have a way to share the documents externally. So if somebody wants to come in and look at it, they have to come into the building to look at them. This gives us the opportunity to, and I'll let Michelle talk more about subscriptions, but to sell subscriptions that the title companies and the folks that need to look at can do that with. And through that, we generate some revenue to help offset the annual cost of the software. And so that's a real short overview of how we've gotten here today. And if you have other questions, I'll let answer them. From a technical standpoint, we're very comfortable with this. It will be a cloud-based product. We won't be, so that helps us in that we're not responsible for data security. The vendors that are responsible for that. We like that because we don't have to plug holes in our firewall to let people in and create security holes. So from a technical standpoint, we're really comfortable with this application.
So my question on that, I hear you right that this is mainly just for professional researchers. Can the general public access it?
It will depend on how we set up the subscriptions, but yes, what the vendor has supplied us, they have used in other locations. We're not tied to this, but there's 4 different levels of subscription. And one is, say you just needed to look something up, you can buy a day pass for $5, or whatever number we choose. $5 isn't set concrete, but whatever number we choose, and then you could look up whatever record you needed to look up. And I think that it will allow you to print up to 2 records for free, and then there's a charge of whatever was set for printing of any documents over that. And then those subscriptions just grow from there depending on the user's need and use. So all of that depends on, they give us their recommendations on costs, but that is strictly up to Michelle, or I don't know who all would make that decision, but it wouldn't be an IT decision. So there are different levels depending on their need. They base their, I think in here, I may have said that we could possibly get $42,000 a year. They base that on some different counties, Saline and Erie. And so they're basing it on the income that those counties are receiving using similar processes.
So, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, we'll touch on some more of this information on the subscriptions. Everything in our office, aside from DD 214s, which are military discharges, are open record. So, whether they come into the office to view these records or view them online, everything is open record that we allow. Generally, the buyers that are going to purchase a subscription are going to be your local title companies, your attorney offices, and banks, because they like to access the mortgages so they can issue the releases and the assignments. I've received maybe less traffic coming into our office once we go live with the subscriptions, but I don't see us not having any customers at all. We still have researchers that come in and like to use the index books because that's what they're familiar with. And we would normally try to keep everything consistent. If we charge $1 per page for customers to print documents in our office, we'll continue that online.
Another question I had was, title companies submit the titles. And how does that happen? Right now, you take that document and you put it in the system. And there's a few checks and balances there. Will that automatically go into the system, or will it arrive there and you check it like you do presently?
It would be the latter. It would be submitted electronically. It's something called e-recording. And it's actually the most sufficient way to record documents because it saves the county money on the expenses it goes to processing documents and postage to mail them out. So receiving a document electronically, I'm still reviewing it, I'm still checking signatures, notaries, and I can reject it if it's not correct or accept it. And then the submitter gets the document back instantaneously instead of having to wait on the mail.
Well, that's kind of what I was worried about because a lot of times you've got to present a document that's has your recording of it, and so that'll all be there yet.
Yeah, I'm sure. We're already doing that. We have been doing e-recording now for 2 or 3 years. So we have been accepting that way.
There are some documents that we don't allow to be e-recorded, like plat maps, federal tax liens and state tax liens, and DD-214s. Those have to be inspected in person.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Sure. Is there any other questions?
I have one question, and it's just from experience we've had with a company I work with full time. And it isn't related to registered deeds, but occasionally we'll go and ask for like GIS parcel data in bulk. And some counties have per parcel pricing. And we've had an argument Patrick, that as an open record, that's not a fair way to charge because it's open record rules require only the costs associated with obtaining the document, and it can be a little arbitrary when it takes the county an hour to produce a record and they charge you $5,000 for it. We have had an argument with that. It's other counties, and it comes into play when there's a pay to play kind of pricing model, and it gets for those that aren't using it to generate revenue. It makes a lot of sense for like a title company or a bank where they're just charging those fees back to the borrower or whatever. But if you have somebody that's doing research and it costs an unreasonable amount for something that doesn't take the county long to produce, I think that can run afoul of the open records laws.
I've had some experience with that, and a lot of the policies that counties have in place, and I haven't reviewed this for Reno, I guess, but are from the days when you would physically cut things, and if somebody wanted 100 pages printed, it did have some overtime associated with paper costs and all that wear and tear on machinery. And really, the core really is about just how much employee time it takes someone to get the document. So if it takes you 2 minutes to give a 1,000-page PDF to someone, you should just be charged the 2 minutes of employee time, not $1 per page for 1,000 pages.
In the county, with like when we know it's $85,000 a year, is that a recoupable cost in the Open Records Act, or is it just the
my recollection of the open records request is that you can charge employee time to actually, you can charge every single second of employee time at their hourly rate and maybe some materials. And I've never tried to look into whether or not you can recoup software in addition to that. So I've always told various departments to be able to, don't underestimate how much employee time it takes them to solve the task, answer a core request, and respond to it. But I've never tried to factor in software personally, so
I don't really like getting in the way of the county covering its costs, but I'm thinking about the individual that may be doing some sort of bulk request, and then they get an unreasonable fee associated with it, versus charging a professional company a convenience fee associated with kind of integrating with their systems.
I mean, from other kind of, we kind of reviewed and redid their entire policy on it, which is probably something to look at here, I guess, not just go off the top.
Let me ask Michelle, if we separate it, if it's the professional operators from, the individual that walks in off the street or the company that has a one-time request, can we?
Yeah, other counties like Riley County, I believe, they have a set pricing just for title companies, and then they have kind of like day pass options for the general public to go and look.
Still, again, I hate arguing against recouping the costs, but I don't know that it really is in the spirit of the Open Records Law, which says you can walk in and can get any record, and it's only the cost associated with the incremental additional cost. And if it's all online, there's really no incremental cost to the county.
We get about 100, maybe 120 copy requests a week.
And those I'm not talking anything physical that you're moving paper around, that you're spending time on. I think that needs to be recovered. But if you go online yourself, if I went online and researched it, the fee to do that, the county has no cost, no incremental cost.
I think the argument to do it is it's actually we're not required to provide that. We're kind of by letting people go into our system that way, we're really going above and beyond what's statutorily required. And helping people get to information that that we don't otherwise have a obligation to make it that convenient for people. So we're trying to
establish it, and it's available to everyone. Then we're not creating something new.
I get the both points. I just push forward.
Well, are we to a point where this charge here again? If this is her elected job, do we have anything to say about what she does? Or do we have something to say about it, Patrick?
Well, I mean, you guys, anytime you're spending county funds, you guys have the purse strings. I mean, she is asking for money for her tech funds, and these funds come, what she's asking to spend, as I understand, is money that's been generated by services like printing costs in the past. It's not for money that you guys could go use on roads and bridges or something else. So I think it's fair for discussion, but in terms of how she administers her office, she's been elected to do that by the county, so she...
Let me ask Michelle, if you work with Patrick and then just send a memo back to us, the question I have, is that fair? Would that be fair, Patrick?
Of course, I mean, I'll agree to.
Is there...
in the spirit of the fact that I respect you running your department, but what is the overall reason other than convenience for one to do this?
I mean, how does this benefit the county? It's benefiting people outside the county, but I don't know how this benefits the county and your employees, your space that you're working out of. Because it sounds like you're still going to do paperwork, even though it's an e-trail that you're going to follow to do paperwork. So you're going to put time in either way. And it seems to me like I see software programs and technology that come about that where we spend money and it continues to cost the county more money every year than we recoup. And it creates another line of work for the department. And so is it going to make your department more efficient? Is it a space issue? I guess, I don't have a background history why we need this.
Sure. For one, having the subscriptions and access to the documents outside of our office frees our staff from the time it takes to provide these copy requests, which means we can spend more of our time actually recording documents, which is what we're statutorily required to do. And so this will be not only a convenience for the public that can access it from their own office, but also for our office, so people are self-serving and helping themselves. I think Commissioner Friesen does make a really good point about charging for those services. It's definitely something I will reevaluate with Patrick and take a second look at. I do think, though, projecting that kind of revenue from subscriptions, that's money that we're bringing to the county. And that's just one way for our office to contribute to that revenue. So I
look at it ultimately. I understand Patrick has set up some technology funds, but we still realize where they come from. Ultimately, they're coming from the people that we spent, regardless of who's doing it or how we're doing it, we need to be responsible to them. The state statutory or not.
We generate $90,000 every year in tech fund money. That tech fund money, so for every page of every document that is recorded in our office, $3 of it go towards a technology fund. That fund money is specifically supposed to be used for software and software maintenance agreement.
So let's help on this question. This is an incremental new cost to the general fund. This is coming out of an established fee fund that has enough money for this.
So if you eliminate that, real quickly, if you eliminate that, will we have the same kind of return? In line with this question, they have a continuing kind of funds coming in from your technology. So next time, how does it compare from the fees you're providing to what will be online?
I was not proposing that you consider eliminating it. I was proposing, making sure that if somebody, as an example, maybe not charging for single use, like you get 5 free cups or something. And also, you have the opportunity to say, hey, this is an open record, it should be at cost. And if somebody makes that objection, we should look at it. But I think it's fair, like professional companies that are making money doing this stuff that we charge them.
I'm opposed to that. I just needed some background.
Yeah, sure.
It helps me.
One of the efficiencies also is that right now the system that the images are held in, the scanned documents, is not linked to the record management side of it. So they wind up having to index those documents twice. This system will eliminate that. So it does make their staff much more efficient in that, so that it will, from the technical side, that will make a big difference.
I like the revenue side of it, and for one reason, if I've got a company out here and I'm using this quite a bit, I need those use of the records. I need to research to see if something's clear. Having this, I feel that a reasonable charge, which I don't know what that would be, but if I can save an employee's time and gas and all of that, then I think that's useful, because
it's saving the people that use your product, need your service. It's saving, it has an opportunity to save that money depending upon how you structure the revenue side. But it also, I like the revenue part of it.
During the pandemic, this was, if we would have had this available during the pandemic when our offices were closed, real estate movement in the title world would have been a little bit more steady than it was. Because when our offices were closed, the title companies weren't allowed during certain times, which slowed their process, which slows our constituents' process if they're in the middle of trying to close on real estate. So, not saying that we're going to go through another pandemic again, but if there was ever a situation where people had to access these documents remotely because that was the only choice, I would like that our office would be able to provide that.
So, I don't think we're taking away anything. We're adding something new. Is that right?
I would see it that way.
Yes. And so, I know I've needed documents from other counties and such, and, it's a whole lot easier doing it online than it is going up there, and there's a lot more expenses for me going up there. So, I wouldn't mind paying a little extra on if it's somebody local. They come into the office and we're not putting anything extra on people that live and work here and do business here. And so, I guess I think it's a positive thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think having the ability to research any county public record online is a good thing. So I think we just
have to make sure you judge fair prices. We'll be watching.
Is there a motion to approve the purchase as requested?
Mr. Chairman, I'd say I'd make that motion.
Commissioner Bogner moves. Second. Any final discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes.
Commissioner Parks. Yes. Commissioner Bogner.
Yes.
Commissioner Weisel. Yes. Commissioner Friesen.
Yes. That's fine, sir.
Thank you.
I forgot to mention, just so it's in the record, the consent agenda 6I had a spelling mistake. It should be Kansas Municipal Investment Group. It's administrative error address. Minutes for fires today. Item 7B is the update from the Conservation Department.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barbara Leghorn, on behalf of the Department of Aging Services and Public Transportation. I prepared a pretty extensive document for you, and I'm not going to read it all. There's only one thing I would like to highlight, and I would like to talk to you about the fleet. And I did mention in there that I do see that as an emerging concern. Right now, we have 19 vehicles, and at this time, we actually have 9 buses that have been awarded to us as replacement vehicles. Only 3 have been ordered. The rest of them haven't been ordered, and we honestly don't know when that will happen. The ones that are ordered, I think I mentioned there, are at least 18 months out. My concern to you is that from the day when these buses start rolling in, and we'll be happy to see them, that the cost of them will come at this point in time. When we awarded the buses, the cost was around $78,000, and we know today it's probably going to be $110,000, $125,000. So our share of the match, we will be obligated to, and we will need to accrue the funds necessary to meet those matches. So the other buses, and it's going to take us a number of years, usually it takes about 5 years, 5.5, 6 years, to accrue the 100,000 miles. So there's just going to be this dip that's coming, and it will be important that we budget appropriately each year. Right now, the way it works is we budget for a bus and we buy it. We get the bus at the end of the year. And that's not going to happen because we're going to have all these buses. They're not going to have enough miles on them. We can't write for new ones, but we're going to have to accrue funds so that when we do need them, we actually have money to pay for them. So that's just something, I know it's kind of far off, but I do want to start talking about that with you because I do see that as kind of a looming concern. The way we get our buses is through KDOT. They do a state spec, and we are only allowed to choose buses from the spec. We can't go out and just buy buses. And there are certain requirements of the spec, and they have to have a certain percentage. I think it's between 75 and 80% of all the bus parts that are manufactured have to be made in America. And so that kind of narrows the manufacturing code. Right now, Ford is the manufacturer that is meeting those requirements, and Ford is producing buses, but they're going to the private sector and not to the governmental sector. So we're just kind of in a never land at this point in time. There's nothing we can do about it. We just keep our buses in good running order, and we're fine. The fleet's in very good shape. But I do see this coming, and I wanted you to be aware of it. So that's really the only thing I wanted to emphasize.
Questions for Barbara? Buses are all the same age now that you have that you're going to be replacing these with, or are they staggered out as well?
So, excuse me, we get our practice to segue 3 buses every year. So we had, roughly 3 buses that were the same manufacturer that year, and that worked really great because that, again, prices were pretty regular. We could budget appropriately. Our budget stayed pretty flat. Of course, there were some changes, but not a lot. And so, the buses are various ages. Right now, we're running between 2013 and 2019 buses. And they're in good shape. And they look good. So.
And I sent you an email about this. So there's a lot of what you do that's really, really good. And I appreciate that. Things are changing, though, in what companies are offering. And I think a lot of that is about to conflict with what you were offering as far as things being delivered or things of that nature. And so what I would like to see is because if government competes with the private sector, government's always going to win because we steal money from citizens and stuff. Maybe steal's not the right word, but we tax people to get the money to do things so we can offer them less expenses. So what I would really like you to look into, over the next year or so is, where are we competing with private industries, and can we maybe slowly back out of that, and so that we're not completely competing with local companies who maybe will have to charge a little more in order to be profitable. I don't want the option to be between, something that's provided by us that the taxpayers are paying for and something that's provided by, a local business. And so I would just like you to look at that. But other than that, I really appreciate what you're doing, so thank you very much.
One of the things you mentioned was the grocery delivery program, and it is true that there are options for people. Now, if you put an app on your phone, you can order groceries. The concern is that many of the people that we serve have difficulty with technology, and for them to utilize that properly, I think that's important, and that's a need that we can fill. So that's why we're doing it really overall, but we will certainly look at the next year.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
There's one thing that you do handle, and that's a senior farmer nutrition program. In order to be that. We had to sit through an hour session. And with the new tax situation, well, that's going to be fun. And filing your sales tax because of the difference. I just wanted to mention that unless they put some lines in there on line taxes we owe when we sell, that we got to take that 2% off. It's a different taxing program on food now versus other sales, and so it seemed pretty complicated to me when I went through it.
So the vendor will have more taxing responsibility or more paperwork?
Well, I think when we file with the state, that's going to be a little more confusing.
So the beauty of this is we're the distributor of the coupons monthly. That is our only responsibility to the program. So actually that will be handled through the Kansas Department of Aging, which then it funnels down to the South Central Kansas Department on Aging. They receive the coupons, and we're a distribution center. So hopefully, Commissioner Hurst, we will not have the responsibility to do
it's a vendor situation,
yes,
okay. But it's a good program.
It is a good program. It's well received and very popular.
Any other questions? Any purchasing updates?
I'll follow Barbara's lead and say y'all got my written report. So I won't go into a ton of detail. A few things I'll mention. As far as staffing goes, we're currently down 3 full-time custodians and 2 part-time. We have seen a little uptick in applications the last few weeks, which means going from nothing to a few. But we've got one full-time applicant that is in the process right now of going through background checks and pre-employment testing, so that will help some. Another interview scheduled later this week for a part-time custodian. Just a few highlights, I guess, I will touch on from looking at last year, things that were going on and we were involved with, a lot of time assisting these contractors with work on the courthouse. It's just, we're really happy when that's completely wrapped up. And we do have that on a firm completion schedule for about a month from now. I think everything's on track for the rest of the contractors, equipment crew, and all that should be out of here. So that's been a long project, and I think it's turned out well despite all of the issues along the way. Looking forward, I want to emphasize that I really don't think it is a great time to be part of the Reno County organization. I'd like to thank Randy's leadership in kind of guiding us into some of these high-performing organization principles. I've seen positive impacts in our department in terms of employee engagement and leadership at all levels. I've also seen positive improvements in the larger organization, and I see a lot more collaboration happening between departments and better communication. So I think that's a real positive thing moving forward. some additional projects, and it'll be interesting to see what's decided in terms of additional interior renovations at the courthouse. But that'll be coming up. We've also roofing at the courthouse, and those bids were rejected. They came in a month and a half ago. Those have been modified and are ready to go back out to bid again. Hopefully, we'll get some better bids this time around. And I think that's the plan, is to get that on the agenda for the 28th for discussion and approval to proceed with getting those bids resubmitted. Also coming up will be a discussion about the re-anchoring of the facade on the upper portions of the courthouse. And I'm not sure when that will be, but possibly about the same time. There was a lot of discussion about that last year and with engineers and architects. And it's a little bit of a complex sort of an issue, but we want to get that before you and make a decision on where we're going to go with that and get that rolling if that's the wishes of the board. Anyway, I think with that, I would open it up for any questions that you might have based on my report or otherwise.
I don't know if this is the time or not, but are we progressing with the elevator deal or on the renovations? You were going to check on a few things. Is that going well for you?
Yeah, it has. The commission had appointed Commissioner Hurst and Bugner to visit with Randy and I to take a look at some options and to go into the weeds a little further on this project. One of the conclusions from that meeting was in lieu of putting that walkway in from the north to the south mezzanine, we might look at other alternatives that might cost less. We did have a vendor out end of last week who took a look and gave us some other suggestions. So we would have some other options that may work. I think would work for sure, depending on what the intended use of that space is going to be up there on that mezzanine. It might have an impact on which option we go with. I will say, if we were to put in a standard commercial full-size elevator, the cost would be as much or more than the walkway at this point. So I was a little surprised that those numbers were that high, but there are options for limited use active elevators that would be about half the capacity. They run a lot slower, but they're more of a freestanding type unit. You get those with that are self-enclosed, or the enclosure is part of the package, so there's not an additional elevator shaft that needs to be constructed and all of the engineering and stuff that goes with that. So that's one option. Another option is a lift. I'm sure you've all probably seen the residential style stairway lifts that you can usually see in some churches and things like that, with just a seat that you sit on and it'll take you up the stairway. There's an option that they have that's available that's similar to that, but more on a light commercial type solution. It has an actual platform and a seat, so that could be used for moving boxes of documents or people up and down the stairs. And then that also would wrap around and fold up against the railing on the outside at the bottom of the stairs, so it's kind of out of the way when it's not needed. So that might be an option as well, depending, again, kind of on the volume of traffic that we anticipate, and it's kind of based on what the intended use or final use of that space would be. So that's where we're at on that. And then we're meeting today with the architects and the interim city building official just to verify that we're still good with the fire egress specifications and plans. That took a little while to coordinate the schedules between those folks, but that's scheduled for this afternoon at 2:30. The building official with the city who was here when this was first discussed and researched, he walked the building and gave us that verbal okay that they would accept the plan, but he's no longer here. So we have a new interim who's not really familiar with the project, or wasn't as of last week. So we want to get that nailed down and actually in writing before we commit to doing a big project that costs a lot of money. So did that answer your question? Thank you. Anyone else?
You're done. Mr. Brooks, how do you like those roof bids? Come to want to do it, and you send it back out, I know.
Yeah, I discussed this with Randy, and he was recommending that we put that on the agenda on the 28th to get approval to send them back out to bid. If you all are ready to go ahead and get that out to bid, see this, we may even be able to have bids back by the 28th or we can approve them. And
I can see it happen. That's where we're at. It's something that needs to happen. We got spring rains coming and other stuff. We're probably going to move on that here one of these days.
You think you need approval to get a bid?
No, to approve the bids, but not to go out to bid. The intent to have them on the agenda was to make sure that you guys had a chance to look at the specs, and if you had any concerns, address them then, not when we bring the bids back. But if you're good with just modified specs for Berlin to get them sent out, then we don't need a formal approval. We at least need consensus here.
What do you guys think about just having Randy send them to you, and you can give your feedback and let them go ahead?
No, I would say yes. Okay.
We'll just circulate it. If there's feedback, we'll give it to you, and you can keep going.
Okay. We get very limited, within the next couple of days. If you have any concerns, otherwise this is going out to bid. Okay.
So, Chris, do you have any questions?
I didn't forget. I noticed that this chair, but I didn't think about it until this morning. But so I noticed on the expense reports that we approved, there's a lot of things from like Office Max and Amazon and things. I was thinking, isn't this something they should be getting through you? Is this just something that you don't carry, or you may not even know, or that are certain departments not communicating with you well enough, or?
Well, are you talking, is this on
just in general?
Or
just in general?
Okay. So we have we approve a lot of, or make a lot of purchases through those vendors that you're speaking about. We do try to keep things local as much as we can, and our policy on the purchasing side is if we can buy those items for 5% or less more than what we can buy outside the county, we will spend a little more to keep it local. Unfortunately, a lot of times we're in the 40, 50, 60% savings by buying outside the county or using some of these online vendors. So we do have a local vendor who does work with us really well, and we do send a lot of business their way too. But as far as the purchases from those vendors that you mentioned by other departments, I don't know. Randy might have a better handle on that.
I think if they have special items that may not be in stock, they may just go out and buy them on their own. I don't think it's in mass. It's just everyone comes up at the moment. Yeah, it just occurred to this one. It's like, he's here, I might ask him that.
As far as I know, the vast majority of them are probably because those for special order items, and sometimes our store inventory as well.
Thank you very much.
When do you think the last punch list for the courthouse project will be?
Hopefully around 4 weeks from today.
And that counties to pass final approval on the last 10. Is there a what do they call it?
What process would you normally do with that?
Well, we're kind of go through the billing. Now, if you want it brought to you guys to sign off, but usually that would just be maintenance department would sign off that it's finished and up to standards, and then the architect and department would authorize the release of the retainage and final payments.
Well, I have one thing that's bothered me for like 2 years, and it's the trim around the front doors of the courthouse was stained at some point.
Yeah, that's on our list of things to still resolve.
Well, it's up to the commission. I'd love to see like that final punch list and it be brought here before we release that final. You know, it's such a big project and so important that it be completed right. Was there a problem doing that? What the commission feels like if we're getting some leads or.
We have had, several partial punches already, and right now a lot of what they're working on, honestly, is getting those resolved. The bulk of the day's scope of work is complete, but just a lot of those little details that we weren't happy entirely with sometimes. Little stuff that is still need to be addressed.
For the remind me of what the total project was. So
between all 4 scopes was about 3.1 million, and about half of that was reimbursed by insurance.
But I'd love to see the punch list just to feel good about us checking all the details. I don't think I would get involved in it, but I'd like to see it. You know, like circulating it. Sure.
We can bring it back and have it come back, kind of wrap up the report next month.
Maybe you could put it in you can circulate it to the commissioners, and if they want to talk about it, we can put it on the agenda. But it's a big enough project, and it's public facing. We'll have to know we close that out.
On that punch list, I said window seals that were all put up really all on that. Did it get all paid off?
Which ones?
This will be on the building.
It
was discovered by them that they've been a bunch of wire in and out, so they're in a straight arrow. I know some people that were connected with that, so the reason I was asking. They included fixing all those. I understood they had a mishap with some paint. Did you get all that off?
I think so.
It's unfortunate.
Along with Commissioner Winslow said, I would certainly, and maybe you're doing this, okay, but if you get an outside bid, I would certainly, on a big order, I would certainly say, hey, go back to my local retailers and say, hey, this is where we're at. Where can you be at with this regard? Just give them a second chance, I think. If you have the time, I think it's important that they have an opportunity, and I hope you're doing that now.
But we are. Robert Suchline has been real good about doing price matching over the years. I know in the past year and a half, though, prices have become so challenging for them that they've not been able to do a lot of that as well. So we still spend, I think last year was around $26,000 with Robert Suchline. And so, that's a good chunk, but that's down by probably about a third from what it was 5 or 6 years ago. So we're talking about that and tentatively wanting to get together with
discussion and see if there's anything else we can do.
Same way with furniture, because we have at least 2 or 3 or 4 vendors that have capabilities with the furniture that we purchase. Yep.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Tom's back. It was fast. It was like yesterday you were here. I did that.
I'm asked to get the cost estimate on studying these 2 options. I got those, sorry, you got them so late. I told Randy to send them to you, and he thought I sent them to you, so we are on the same page, but I think you got it. To answer your question, to get a cost estimate, we can look into this, was $10,000. And also, I think you got the list of the pros and cons of each project. Did you want me to read those? Or
I don't think. Should have got the email last night about 7 o'clock. But
I didn't get it yet. Okay. Well, it should be. It'd be nice if I could copy these and give them to each one, but I can read them.
We'll move on to the next agenda.
Will everyone get it? Get Ryan started on his reports. Nice. Ray, you want to go on your reports?
let's see. Or not set. So I have I have to drop a flashcard to the Hutch Chamber with our membership. We get 1 flashcard so you can go to their membership breakfast. I think there's a lunch throughout the year. It doesn't cost if you have the flash pass. We have one to just mention that so everyone knows if they want to go to chamber breakfast, let me know. You can use the flash pass. If we have it where we think multiple commissioners may have an interest in attending these on a regular basis, we can purchase another flash pass for $200. So I kind of want to throw it out there, see if there's an interest in having an additional one, or you just want to kind of first come, first serve each month.
How much do we pay in chamber duties a year? If you need to get back to me, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd have to get back to her. I'm still a member. I'd have to look at that.
Because I'll be honest with what happens over last year. I'm not very good with lunches in chamber. So, I don't know if you guys
I think the lunches are around $12. I think breakfast is around $12.
Just I know one of the things was that the debate that they put on and then changed the rules on us at the last minute, and then there was a lot of pontificating at that particular debate, and they just seem to be real hostile towards Republicans, and so we have 5 Republicans on the board, and so I don't want to make it personal, but I'm not very happy with the way that we were being treated by that chamber.
What else you got ready?
And then on the attachment is the monthly department reports. This has appraiser, automotive, clerk, communications, emergency management, and health department. Reading through those, want to see if there are any questions that you had, or if there's certain things on the monthly reports that you would like to see that are not just this particular department, but let me know if there's a different pieces of information you want to see each month from all the departments.
financial report that's attached. Just want to show we may have one more financial report that we'll bring to you that will show 2022 numbers before we start getting into 2023 numbers, because we're still finishing up month 13, so there's still maybe a few bills come in that hit the 2022 budget. You can see on revenue that we brought in more than was planned, because it's $10 million. It's just a cash balance. It's not an actual revenue, so we are a little bit above what we expected for the year. A lot of that was interest and sales tax, but the interest, we didn't know the interest rates were going to be going up so much, so we have maybe quite a jump in what we usually receive from that revenue. And then each department's listed. Most are either right at really close to the 100% spent for the year, or maybe a little bit over, a little under, but the general fund covers all those extra expenses. I want to highlight, as we talk about the courthouse renovation project, whatever project comes back that it gets approved, this $1,049,000 minus the $13,000, that will be transferred year end from 2022 general fund into the capital improvement reserve fund. That's one of the pieces to help pay for those renovations. And I think we moved $1 million the past couple of years, so there'll be about $3 million that were earmarked for the courthouse project. Doesn't mean that they can't, if we don't spend it all, it can be used for other capital needs, but there's sufficient money in there. I wanted to point that out. It hasn't hit yet, so it doesn't look like we've spent a lot of the money in this department, but that's because of the transfer. County General, kind of the same comment about the cash reserve. This 5.6 was to cover if there are other items, other departments that went over their budget throughout the year. This helps cover so we don't have a budget violation from the general fund. I go down to the bottom of the general fund. So we began the year with $14.4 million, ended with $15 million. So our revenues were about $720,000 more than expenditures, but there still are expenditures coming in, and that doesn't include again the transfers. So that will go into the negative when we do the $1 million transfer.
What do you think of how much will be?
Well, we'll have to look at things. I would say there may be $1 million transfer just on that one line item, so it'll be $300,000 more in expenses, but I don't know how many more bills there are or other. There's another $300,000 transfer. I guess I'm glad you mentioned that. We'll go back up. The economic development projects, the county budget's $400,000 every year. In 2022, we spent $23,500. The remainder of that will go into an economic development reserve fund. So that'll be another expense that will hit that's not shown here. That's a transfer. So there's probably about another $1.5 million in expenses to hit the general fund for 2022. We'll still be in good shape though. Other funds, kind of similar type of scenarios. There may still be some transfers or a few expenses, but most of it has been covered. EG, you can see, went up just a little bit. Public health went up quite a bit. A lot of that is because of the grants. You'll notice grant revenues, we had $1 million budgeted. We've brought in over $2 million, or $2.6 million. So that helps for the time being until the grant money's gone. And then we'll have different issues. Noxious weed fund went up. It's doing good. Special bridge fund is down a little bit, but Don has a multi-year plan for the bridges, money coming in, grants, and expenditures, so we're in good shape for that fund. Road and bridge, it's in really good shape. It went up, which may help in the 2024 budget, knowing that road and bridge, their budget's going to need a pretty significant increase to keep up with asphalt and construction every year, and cost of equipment. Solid waste funds down a little bit, and some of that's large projects that we've had, capital projects. And then youth services fund is up. It's in good shape. Employee benefits, it's been a little more than the revenues, but it's still in good shape. And then these are just the allocation fund or departments, funds that we send to various agencies. Any questions on the financials? Okay. The other, just to let you know, on the 22nd, all day, SJCF will be here meeting with each department to go over the programming survey of space. That's a space study needs that the commission approved last year. We're getting closer to having ideas of the space that's needed, but the company's going to meet with each department independently during that day. And Commissioner Friesen and Commissioner Parks will be attending the one for the county commission space, but I will, later this week, I'll send out kind of the preliminary draft of those space needs that were estimated for county commission space. That's all I have.
Questions for Eddie? Come back to Don.
This be added to the agenda online so people can view it, or to the agenda, but it would be added to the agenda packet now since it's passed. We can provide it to anyone that wants to see it. We can. And I apologize. I thought I was on my phone last night sending this, and I can't find history of it. I know I did it, but for whatever reason it didn't go through. I apologize for not seeing it until this morning.
Is there any, so we'll have two costs that come out of the study. The rates that we've increased so far, does that anticipate a certain minimum cost? Does that make sense? Like,
Your fee has a minimum.
Like, if we, I'll just throw out an example just to describe what I'm asking. If the rate was $6 and we increased it to $30, does that increase in 30 give us an option to fund up to $1.5 million in facilities, or how does how do we determine where the rate is right now?
What the rate is right now is what figured what the reasonable rate should be. So what the rate is now, we pay for everything we're providing now, plus start saving for infrastructure repairs in the future. Well, this rate that we increase this to is there will have to be something additional to pay for these upgrades.
Is that something that they can give a preliminary idea on as far as if we're going to, or can you just do everything? I mean, there's not that many users.
Yeah, I think first we need to know what the project cost is.
Right.
And then once we do that, we can look at, we have a spreadsheet that shows different scenarios for the user fees, and we can look at what it would, if it's $30 a month now, is it going to need to be $60 a month to pay for a $3 million project?
Where I'm going with it is, at the end of the day, if you partner with the city of Hutch, you're going to tag on another fee. And so, it would be nice to kind of know roughly what the fees would be to pay for the new.
As the decision's made, and then we get a cost of what a safe building the homes would be. Right, then we're going to go after grants and forgive loans. So we're not going to have to pay all that back, we hope. So we're going to have to know what we're doing and see what grants we're going to get and all that before we know what cost it's going to be to the users.
But Commissioner, I think another part of your question, if I'm understanding right, is if we were to have an estimate of what it costs to connect to the city of Hutchinson, to know what the cost of that is, what we're going to have to pay just for that, plus what the current fees are, before we would have an additional fee from Hutchinson. So you have an idea, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, if the costs are essentially the same before you have the city's fee, then it probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But if there's some sort of difference there that's substantial enough to where you could also pay for the city's fee, some sense. I did talk to the mayor yesterday, and I think the large concern on both sides of this issue continues to be what ifs in the future related to if one party decides it wants to do something else. And I think we both agree that we ought to, as partners and entities, in our case, we tax all of their residents, and so we're already, we shouldn't be duplicating things when we can help it. We agreed that creating an agreement that protects against those concerns would be more productive than just throwing up our hands and duplicating efforts just because we're worried about what may happen in the future. So I think both the mayor and I agreed that it would be better to partner and save on costs, and he felt like the staff and likely the council would be on board if we can get past the worry of the future. And it only makes sense to me to try to do that. It's not benefiting the taxpayers for us to duplicate efforts. I know that. So they were open to a conversation, I think. I think it makes this worthy of at least reviewing. It doesn't look like it's substantially more to look at both options. Is that fair?
this isn't the water actors that went through, in this case, the water actors went through 5 ponds, so it's what they consider water, and that's what we irrigate.
And where is it being used to irrigate? Who's getting the benefits from it?
That would be land that we would own, and that would be land that I would hope that we could lease for hay or whatever. We'd be irrigating on grass.
Okay. Would it be used in the county, on county property, is what you're talking about?
Yes, if we went forward to building the new ponds, we would need to purchase the land to cover the area for the ponds and the irrigation.
What you're saying is you got to get rid of the water once you get it to that point. You'll do it through irrigation rather than
River evaporation will take care of them. We irrigate right now. You emergency. Right now, you dump it out in the stream or something like that. We're not doing that. In the last 2 systems we built at Highlands, and those are both irrigated, and that's what we do down there.
if you're paying that, you're getting around. Comparable rent to what it would rent anywhere else.
So that would be what we would then go into, yes.
Yeah, because
It'd be some lake or so, but that would be some income that would go back into the sewer district.
that's fine as long as we're utilizing what we're doing. My concerns originally were when we talked about this the last time was the expansion. If we had need for expansion, the line that we may run to Hutchinson, if we chose to go that way, if there was an expansion need, what would that do to that transmission line? Would it be insufficient to carry? And I noticed you got in some other larger flood issues in here that could be an issue in that transmission line.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't want to build too big of a line down because this is going to be a pressurized system. Right? And then not knowing what the expansion would be, that may be a concern. I guess my biggest concern is, and like I say, it'd be great that we didn't have to deal with this and could send it to the city. But I look out 30 years from now, I don't know, what if it comes to a point where the city can't take on anymore? And just as Commissioner Bruce wants, that industrial park to even grow, and it is growing because the law enforcement center, I don't even know how much, it may get even bigger than that if they go, taking in more than just local, the state's business, and then all of a sudden the city can't take them. Right? Now I don't know what we do.
Well, I think that's my concern with the line going up there, that it could become insufficient in the future, and I would hope that if we supply good sewer out there, it will grow.
Yeah.
And eventually fix the water sewer issues, and we can see growth out there. I think there's room for that. But the other thing on the very bottom line, on the county's responsible for operating lagoons, irrigation systems, they're going to be a forever now, go forward. So the county function to take care of that, or is that going to be relinquished at some point in time?
No, I think it's always been the county's take care of it, whether we send it to the city or not. I mean, unless somebody takes over that industrial park, and it's not the county's, but it looks like it's ours. I guess if you have the sewer cells down in the ponds, and then for some reason in the future the growth is more than it outgrows what the city will take, some of the counties expand. Put in another pond, or we make the ponds bigger. There's something that can be done, and
There'll work some of it to that.
yeah,
Imagine they'll talk through the capacity range in the study.
Yeah, I just don't know. Yes, but I don't know what the future capacity is going to be.
I mean, this is one of the biggest mistakes government makes. It tries to solve every problem. However, eventually you just get into this hairball snowball of just cost and overthinking, and whether it's a law or something design. say about the two issues. Commissioner Hurst.
I know there's more upfront cost. But I think overall, I would rather own and be responsible for this than have a potential future dependency on someone else. The rate that's going to be charged will be dependent upon any chemicals, the amount of BODs that will come through this line. And at the present time, we know about what they are now. If we put it into a lagoon, we don't have that concern. Is that correct, Don? And so, rates are dependent upon CODs, BODs, as you all know, as well as other things. And so I think I would have a tendency to definitely go with the lagoons. I know it's the application part may be more expensive than the individual. And we got to look out after the people that are half of this cost. If I'm pretty close to half of this cost is going into repairing current lines out there.
Well, even if we chose to send this to the city, there's still in 2019 $1 million worth of infrastructure to have it that has to be done, regardless of what we really want to send the city. That was $1 million in 2019. So that's another $1 million that cost to build these ponds. We're sending it to the city.
In my scope of our conversation today is to approve the $2,000 study that was make this determination. Do you thinking it should be different?
Yeah, I don't like to spend money necessarily. I think $10,000 will probably. I think we have to look at that lagoon system as what's in the best interest of the people down there, and what could be in the future best interest of the people down there. I'd like to look at owning versus leasing, the use of that. I think I go back into the fact that we own it.
Again, that's not the decision we're making today, right? We're making a decision to spend $10,000 to get information to make that decision.
I think spending that $10,000 to do that extra study, I'm not sure that that's going to give the results I'm looking at myself.
You need to study either way, right?
I need the study. If you want to spend the money on the study on what it's going to cost to run out the Hutchison, then I need it. If you don't, if that's not the direction you're going, I don't need it.
You need a study to tell us the cost of the lagoons.
I need that study. This $10,000 is for both studies. I think that may be what Commissioner Hurst was talking about. Didn't want to spend that money on the study for the city. I don't want to be half. I don't know. I don't know if it's $10,000 for both.
Commissioner Michael. Anybody else?
Our business has always been better to own stuff yourself. But there are times when you look the other way. We're talking about $10,000 here to get some answers.
Just to be clear now, you need an engineering study anyway. The scope might be different. But if we said, okay, forget city hush, still gonna need some improved amount for an engineering study. Engineering update.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I'm gonna get an engineering, get this, whatever direction we're gonna go get engineered. And usually I'm gonna get that engineered, then I'd get a cost estimate of it and bring that to you. I usually don't come to you to go get the engineer, I just get you approve the cost of it. So yes, I'm gonna need, it's all gonna have to be engineered. I just want to make sure what you want engineered.
You said something interesting, cost update. So it was previously engineered from early on before we did the sales.
The only thing that hasn't ever been preliminary engineered is sent to the city.
Do you have the cost estimate today for the lagoons?
I did. It was good in 2019 before we knew about the law enforcement center and what it is. And now we need a larger pond and more property than I had it in 2019.
You need a new study for the lagoons.
Yes. Updated study.
Is there a motion here?
Get this off the dead center. I'll throw it out there. I'll make a motion to spend this $10,000 to see which way we're going. But some way or the other, and you can vote it down, it's fine. But we need to get this off center. Give Don some direction one way or another. Get it going on it. So I'll make that motion.
So Commissioner Bowden motions to approve the $10,000 habit drilling. Commissioner Bogner made a motion to approve the $10,000 study as presented in this memo by the Conservation Department. Make sure I understand. Does that make sense? What is that? Would you like to change it?
That's what he's saying.
He's made a motion to approve the study.
This motion here that we started out talking about before we went on. I mean, this option. And, there's 4 other buildings that I'm willing to make a motion, just get this thing off dead center and get it moving one way or another.
Does everybody understand the motion? Basically, it's item 1. Approve the study to update the previous study for the connection and expansion of the habit and Yoder sewer districts along with the cost estimate of connecting to the city election center.
Yes.
Well, second that. Okay. I have a motion. Second discussion.
Yeah. Don, I asked a question of you last time, which way you thought was best. You didn't want to answer in front of everybody, but I remember the answer was to stay at habit. And that's kind of where I'm leaning toward, because if we talk about economic development everywhere, we want to push it in as many industrial areas as we can. I would rather see if we have the capacity there and on it, and it's more manageable. And we all know one thing's going to have to cost the stuff's going to continue to go up for a while. And so I don't want to put any undue burdens. And Ron, in your words, we want to do what's in the best interest of not only the residents, but the business down there. But I fully expect that we can push more growth down there. And I would rather see us handle the management. I would rather see we're going to look at things 10, 15, 20 years down the road and see what's going to happen. Whether I've always done that in business, we'll do projects. And I would hope that we would have growth there.
But do we know what the capacity?
No, we don't, but he's talking about still having to study. I too don't like buying studies and spending money on studies that I think can be handled in-house in some degree. I just don't think that's wise money.
What's the cost of two? The cost of option two.
I don't know. The study will be buying the land, putting in the ponds, all of the expenses. And also, it's not just a study of, it's a study of what the line's going to cost. They're going to have to get into easements, they're going to have to get in all that stuff. And then plus another, what the city's going to charge for it. So it's almost like drawing the plans to build it. That's what this study is.
I understand, John. The question was, there's a question here whether it's worth the additional cost to get the information about connecting to the city of Hutch. So, item 2 here basically says, okay, don't worry about the city of Hutch connection, just do the lagoons. So it would be helpful information for this decision, whether it's the same $10,000, whether it's $5,000.
Yeah, because it will be less than 10,000. 10,000 includes the study for what? Sending it to Hutchinson.
Maybe half.
They're asking me to guess, but okay. Half.
That's really the question.
But now, a study, this is the direction we're going to go, and now we're going to put budget plans so that we can send it out to bid and stuff like that. That's different. I guess, so that I'm clear what you want, my question is, it's worth the study for the 10,000 if you want to see about sending it to the city. If you don't want to send it to the city, then it's not worth the 10,000 and spend the money on getting that developed down there. That's the only way I see it, so I don't try to think where everybody's coming from here.
Well, it would just be helpful to understand what the cost difference is. Because if it's a couple thousand or something, maybe it's worth getting the information. You just don't have your guess would be half.
I was asked to get a total cost to study both of them. This is where it is.
That's fine. Okay. If you would like the floor with the question, I don't think everybody's had a conversation, had a chance to speak.
Well, I think we were just stuttering back and forth here on this and trying to get something that Don doesn't really know. And you can't know until you do something. So my theory was let's just decide on this.
Move for the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner moves for the question, which means we have to vote if everybody wants to do that. So there has to be a second on the motion to move to the question. And we'll vote on that.
It becomes automatic, doesn't it? It's an automatic vote.
I looked it up. It requires a second to call the question, and according to the internet, it needs a 2/3 majority, but you can ask for a raise of hands, or you can do the whole one.
Okay, I will move that and try to establish that we can talk about something else about it rather than just trying to come up with an idea that isn't that's right now impossible to estimate, to come up with any kind of an accurate figure.
Okay, well, we've got $10,000 vote on the table. There's a motion and a second. There's been discussion going around the room. I think you've said your piece. Commissioner Weiss, do you have anything?
Yeah, I think with the hesitancy of city and then the uncertainty about future rates, I think I'm with Commissioner Hurst that I think it's better to own it.
Let's just vote on the motion again.
Was there a second to Don's motion? I don't have a second.
And it's option one up there are the options, right?
Roll call, please.
The motions, do you want to clarify the motions for option one of those options?
Commissioner Hurst.
No.
Commissioner Parks.
No.
Commissioner Bowman.
I put it up there, I'll say yes.
Commissioner Weitzel. Commissioner Friesen.
Yes, motion fails 2-3. Second motion.
Move to approve. I move to for option number 2, which is deny the joint study and authorize staff for an engineering update for the expanded lagoon system. That's my motion.
Thank you. You need to vote and start moving on this.
Yes, I think it's a big part of it. And there's another issue after this that we'll discuss, but yes.
I'll second.
Motion to be seconded by Commissioner Weitzel. I'd like to offer an amendment to the motion to not exceed $5,000. I don't know why we would approve it if we don't know what the cost is.
Because it has to be done. Because there was one earlier in 2019, but things have changed since then, regulations as well as cost.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to vote on something I don't know what the cost is. But on my amendment, died for lack of second. Is there discussion on this?
Do you want to amend the amendment to say across the area to 10,000? That was what the original study was.
Well, you get 5,000 too.
Well, if we did 10,000,
You know, we might as well do the whole study if we're going to do that, so. It is an update. Yeah. I can't imagine you won't let it put on when it's an update, so I can't imagine. But I'll second that, so we move it. There's like 5,000.
okay, so there's a motion and a second to amend the motion to not exceed $5,000. I can have discussion. Is there discussion? Roll call, please, on the amendment.
Commissioner Hurst.
Live with that, yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Commissioner Bowman.
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel.
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen.
Yes. Roll call on the motion as amended.
What we just did.
So we need a roll call on the amendment and on approving the amendment.
Let me add to that. The original motion is the $5,000, not to exceed $5,000.
Right.
Yes.
Commissioner Parks.
Yes.
Commissioner Bowman.
Yes.
Commissioner Weitzel.
Yes.
Commissioner Friesen.
So, Donna, sorry. So what we did, the first motion was to amend Commissioner Weitzel's motion. Does that make sense?
I'll give Patrick, yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, who made the first motion?
Commissioner Hurst made the motion to adopt number 2. And that was seconded, and then there was a motion to amend it to include a 5,000 or a cap of, what was the cap amount?
So I would to amend Hurst's motion. Commissioner Parks seconded my motion to amend. There was a roll call that approved the amendment. And there was a roll call that approved the motion as amended. Okay. sessions, county commission reports, comments. Wonder, you have anything today?
Yeah, I've been getting quite a few calls on where the county stands on solar farms, solar energy, what kind of regulations or rules we have. To my knowledge, we have none. But I'm made aware that the commission had asked for planning and zoning to start working on some quite a while ago. Just wondering where they're at on the project, or if it's something that's been given up on before I got here. Or the only reason I ask is I've had several people call me and ask me both pro and against. So, where are we at? What's the county thinking before I do this or do that? So I figured I'd just ask.
Staff is working on that. Mark and Don have been working on that. It'll probably come up to a planning commission meeting in the near future. But they're busy with other things, building permits, everything else, so they're trying to find time to get that also added to the planning commission agenda.
So you're working on language, so there's no regulation today.
I actually looked into this a few months back, just for personal reasons, and what I was told was right now, if you're just a guy doing it on your house, that there's not an increase in your property taxes, at least now, and that pretty well all the terms and conditions are set by your electric provider. So you have to do what they say to do, and these sorts of things.
That's a personal system. I'm more interested in what we got going for a commercial outfit, because that's who's going to come in and put together a large project that might affect certain things. And we just need some study to know what it might affect. Recently at a meeting, Department of Agriculture made some comments, and they heard that there were several elected people in the group. We brought it up here a few weeks ago, that they said you need to be getting your ducks in order, checking. They're seeing some things they don't like happening in other counties. So with that in mind, that was my thought, was start checking into it and see where we're at. If they're working on it, they're working on it. And I'm sure they'll have some information soon, but that's where I'm coming from. They tell me they're working on a project, the company's working on a project here in the state that's going to cover 5,000 acres. That's 2 miles wide. That's 8 sections. 2 miles wide and 4 miles long. That's on what's done in these smaller deals or individually. That's one thing. That's like going to do the taxes for a certain township or whatever. There's a lot of studies to be done and facts to be pulled out. I'm just kind of wondering where we're at. They're working on it, so we'll go from there.
We've learned from Wynn that for the Land Commission to create regulations for wind without a boilerplate starting point, it just doesn't happen. So what staff does, which is Mark and I, we create this boilerplate, the handling, like this, like create from, and that's what we're working on. I I think that we will try to have that before the Planning and Zoning Commission in March. Okay.
Anything else, Commissioner Booker? March 3rd, Fox Theater, 5:30 in the evening. There's going to be a documentary on local food documentary. And that's in conjunction with our Reno County Health Department, as well as individuals as part of the HEAL program, which is also involves the grant situation for the health department in that area. So it's going to be a local food documentary film that night. The other thing I wanted to know if anybody else has had on YouTube that's had a little sound difficulty towards the end of the session, because the input I've had is there's been some sound difficulty towards the end of it. Some of them just turned it off. So that might be warning to look at.
So we had several positive comments about us recording the work session, just grocery shopping and talking to people. I think with my beard, I'm a little easier to recognize. So, and so I want to thank the commission for voting to record that. And do you know where we are on the procedure for doing that in the future? We haven't created that yet. Okay. So hopefully we get that pretty quick so we could possibly vote on that. And then the other thing is that so some of the information we got this weekend talked about some mill levy taxes that were approved in the 70s and 80s. Some of them were approved by the county commission before I was even born. And so I would kind of like to get a report on, what previous commissioners our three previous commissions have approved and without sunset clauses, so we can look and see if maybe this is something we need to vote on. Because so the one in particular that came out was the Department of Aging. Back in 1974, they approved a 1 mil tax, and it was in forever. So basically, it doesn't have an expiration date. Now, the information I got is we're not taxing the entire 1 mil now. We're less than a quarter of that, and so that's good. But I'm just kind of curious what tax increases are out there that were approved by the commission but didn't have an expiration date, and possibly in the future look at sunsetting some of those and giving the people the right to have more input on where their tax money goes and where they get taxed. So,
there's no mill levy that would turn to zero, is there?
Right, so a resolution.
Yeah, there's one in place. No, I think your statement's true. You guys can always turn them off. But that would probably be something we can review almost during the budget season. You'll have to review those.
We have duties to provide certain things that, like, if during the budget process, Commissioner Weitzel wanted to suggest that we move Department of Aging to zero, he could do that, and we could vote for or against it, right?
And I guess I was more curious of what they are.
We had a list of what else there is.
Right.
Yeah, these things kind of got embedded by the legislature, and over time, like I said, if the county wants to have X, Y, Z, they can do it, and that they made it, be voted, and then they do have it.
Well, that's on the front page of the budget book, isn't it, with the statutes listed? I think it's is it the front page? It's on one of the emails. Certification page, I believe. That's called language resolution. Okay, so there's list out there that's separate, and I just, I thought I didn't get into good statutes, right?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Parks, I did think of something. I went to the city meeting last night at the Highlands. Good meeting to sit in on. But with the study on the solar and also knowing that you can put it on your private residence, they're looking, I don't know if Carol visited with you, Don, they're looking into changing, if they can get it done from Park Valley Electric to try to get changed over to Evergy. The rates are better. There is an interest out there with quite a few people to put solar units in that they can work with Evergy on their housing units out there. And so they talked about that quite a bit last night. With planning and looking at future regulations, do you feel like that would affect any of that on personal properties or just big business entities coming in?
To give an idea on the wind regulations, in there was a allowing of individual wind towers, small wind towers, if it wasn't produced over so much or whatever. So allowed on personal.
Thank you, Commissioner Parks. Just a couple of items. One is I wanted to remind the Commission if you have a church or pastor that would like to say the prayer, please send them my way. We've got a fairly robust list going, but we're starting to recycle it. So if there's new pastors or anyone who wants to say a prayer, please pass them my way and we'll get them on the list. Sometimes it's challenging to find somebody.
Chairman, that would be also if they lived out way out in the county and could come in, they could call it in.
Absolutely. You've done that before, I think I have, but certainly
Just want to check with you.
if they want to call in, phone in, web in, whatever, get them in. So please do that. I did hear your point on procedure update, I think, related to meeting recordings. I think there was a little bit of an interest in maybe reviewing our entire commission rules policy at the same time, and so that might be coming back. There are a few things on there that came up today. There's nothing in the rules that say we have to use Robert's Rule of Order, but that might be well put that in there. I know there were some comments related to maybe some things that some of the new commissioners didn't like in the policy, so we might start drafting and do a few iterations on the entire policy there. So we'll take a few more weeks to do that. I wanted to ask the Commission, and this is totally, please don't let me dictate when your meetings are. I will be gone on March 14th for family vacation. We could move the next meeting to the 7th. I just didn't know if that makes a difference to anyone or if anybody has a conflict on the 14th already. Anytime I can make it work, so I'll have Randy check with staff and
You both be as busy time for me.
okay. So my pencil in 7th.
I try not to schedule anything on Tuesday just because of they're changing things.
I always try to take your input. I never have to schedule something that everybody doesn't agree on. So but thank you for accommodating the schedule.
So we'll move what would have been the 14th to the 7th. As far as I know.
We'll confirm with Randy, make sure everything's good, and feel free to reach out if you look again at nothing works. Okay. We have two executive sessions. first. Executive session tonight. I would like to move to adjourn into executive session until, let's say, 11:35 with the governing body, county administrator, public works director, county council, preliminary discussions of potential acquisition of land related to sewer districts. Second for that. Second by Commissioner Parks. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Parks? Yes. Commissioner Buckner?
Yes.
Commissioner Wetzel? Yes. Commissioner Friesen?
Motion passes 5-0. Ascension.